All right, let's do something different today. I'm gonna sit down for this one. So a couple of weeks ago, I got on a Zoom call with a guy doing $1.4 million a year, a deck builder. A crew of 2 plus him on the tools, when things get tight. 15 minutes into the call, he pretty much stopped mid-sentence, right? I thought for a second that the connection dropped, but he was still there, right? Just looked like he needed a moment. Then he rubbed his face with both of his hands and said a thing that I've heard some version of from hundreds of guys at this revenue level. He said, "Man, I'm burning the candle at both ends. I don't know how much longer I can do this." Then obviously he apologized a little bit and told me that he hasn't said that out loud to anyone, right? Not to his wife because she thinks he's like crushing it, right? Based on the new truck that they got. Not to his buddies that are, making 400K because they'd literally kill for his problems. He hasn't even said it to himself in a full sentence. It just sits in the back of his head all day. And some mornings is literally the first thing that he thinks about when he opens his eyes. And this feeling, it isn't rare. Almost every contractor that I've worked with between $1 and $2 million a year has this kind of version of it sitting in their chest. And every one of them thinks that he's the only one, but you are not. So today I'm going to name it, right? Because I've lived it personally. I've watched hundreds of contractors live it, and it's really quietly killing good men. Quick context so you know why I'm the one saying this, right? I've been building businesses since 2003, 20 plus years, right? In that time, I've burned out twice. I've came close to divorce like 3 times. And as much as it pains me to say this, like my kids grew up until about the age of 5 with me mostly missing. I was at the office more nights than I was at home. And even when I was at home, I wasn't really there. Right, for a stretch, I was even going through a bottle of Jack almost every night. And it's not really because I'm an alcoholic, right? Because I just didn't know another way to get that noise out of my head quiet enough so I can actually fall asleep. And, my wife, bless her heart, would wait up for me like every night. She'd leave the kitchen light on and the plate on the counter. And, I'd come when I come at home at 11 p.m. and she'd hug what was basically a shell of a man. And she'd ask me how I was, and I told her that I was fine, but I wasn't fine. And she knew that I wasn't fine. And we both pretty much pretended for a long time. This video is the one that I wish that my dad had sat me down for, or a mentor, or literally anyone, right? But nobody did. So today I'm gonna share with you that, right? It's gonna be 3 truths about getting stuck and like that change between the jumping between $1 and $2 million that nobody really in the space will say out loud. The first truth is that the business right now is wearing your face, right? The number on the truck is probably your cell number, right? The reviews mention you by name. Every good thing that ever really happened in that company happened because you personally walked in the door, right? You were the one that quoted the job, you ran the install, you smoothed that angry homeowner, right? You went back at 8 p.m. on a Saturday to fix the thing that the guys missed. Like the company isn't a company yet. It's you, right, running around with the logo on your shirt. And now here's kind of the part where every contractor watching this maybe is misreading what I'm saying. Maybe you're thinking that, right, that's why I can't step back, right? I've got 2 guys, maybe one solid, maybe one needs a babysitter. If I'm not on the job, the wheels come off. And you've probably said that sentence out loud in the last week in one form or another. Maybe you even shared it with your wife at dinner while she was trying to tell you about her day. But this isn't really about your guys, right? I pretty much had the same mantra for 4 years, like full perfectionist. I generally believed that nobody else could see what I could see. I couldn't bloody delegate a piece of copy, couldn't delegate a graphic, couldn't delegate a website build. Like I'd hand something off and then I would get it back and I would literally rewrite the whole thing from scratch. And then, you kind of silly, but I was wondering, okay, why am I exhausted? But what I was missing, and it took me years, is that somebody else doesn't have to do it my way, right? They can do it their way. And half of the time, their way is actually better. You just don't find that out until you let go of the wheel, right? And letting go feels like free falling out of the truck at like 68 miles an hour. But this is the moment in the business where you have to become someone different. A leader, not a craftsman, right? Like setting standards without doing all that work by yourself. Confronting people when they fall short instead of just redoing it in the dark after they leave. Hiring, firing. I still remember the first time that I had to fire someone. I rehearsed that conversation for 2 full days. Sat in my car in the parking lot for like 15 minutes before I went in. My hands were actually shaking. And when I finally said it, it just came out so much softer than I practiced. That I actually had to say it like twice. Dude just walked out in like 2 minutes after that. And I sat in that room alone for like half an hour afterward, just staring at the wall. Because nobody tells you that's what leadership feels like on day one. It feels like being the bad guy, even, when you're doing the right thing. And you kind of learn to do it anyway, or you are going to stay exactly where you are. Maybe for most of you watching this, that push is overdue, right? You have to start handing pieces of the job to someone else. And not because they're gonna nail it, but because they are going to get there. 70% as good as you is the bar, right? Like 70% means that they're on that path. 70% of 5 people is a business. And that training obviously takes real time. The first month or 2, the pressure on you is going to actually go up, not down, because now you're doing the work and teaching someone else to do the work while they screw it up in slow motion. And most contractors pretty much quit in week 3 because it just feels so much worse than doing it themselves. But it does feel worse, right? For about 60 days, and then you get a break. And one morning, right, you just look up and they are pretty much running it without you and the business didn't fall apart. Here's an interesting story about Luan from Deck Bros who closed 15 mil last year. And you may have heard me, share about his success before, but really few people know what it actually took him to get there, right? Before the jump, Luan was pretty much the whole business. His wife, Jess, was doing the intake from their kitchen table, like taking the calls, booking the appointments, and trying to raise their kids at the same time. And that pretty much cooked her in like within a year. Luan himself, he was running 5 appointments a day, sometimes weekends, because the pipeline demanded it and there was nobody else. But here's what Luan did that maybe most people don't, right? He documented everything. He recorded most of it. For over a year, while he was still the guy doing all of it, he was quietly building that playbook in the background. By the time he was ready to hire, he wasn't really praying, he had the process, right? He taught then that process to his first sales rep. And then the rep shadowed him on the first appointments. And after a few, like Luan shadowed the rep. And pretty much, it was like a 2-month transition. One intake person and one sales rep basically running the thing. And Luan finally got his face off every single deal. And that's what the shift looks like in real life, right? It's not a hack and it isn't glamorous. A transition that started more than a year earlier was finally moving to the next stage. And the business he'd been carrying on his back was now ready to actually run on somebody else's legs. Truth number 2, embrace. If you stopped working tomorrow, like just didn't show up, how long does your business still make money? For most contractors at this level, it's probably closer to like 30 days, maybe 60 if you've got big jobs already signed. After that, the pipeline dries up because you are the pipeline. Leads stop because you are the sales guy, right? Your two guys start asking questions because you are the PM. And that's not really a business. That's pretty much a job with overhead. A real business makes money while you're sleeping, right? While you're at your daughter's game, while you're actually present for dinner instead of half there and still mentally on the job site. A job pretty much requires you to physically show up for the money to move, right? And most contractors around $1 million have built themselves the single most expensive, highest stress job in their freaking zip code. Here's what really hurts, right? You can't sell it. You can't sell the business. No buyer writes a real check for a business where the owner is the business, right? The second you walk out, the asset walks out with you. You can't retire from it, and you can't take your kid, to every little league game because the phone rings at 4:27 on a Tuesday from a homeowner who just, has a quick question. We all know that quick question that just takes an hour, right? And your kid, looks over from the dugout at one point and sees you pacing in a parking lot with the phone to your ear. You both know what that means, right? We don't have to hide it anymore. This is why contractors at this stage secretly hate their business, because a regular 9 to 5 has a cheat code. You can call in sick, you can clock out, you can hand something to someone else and, it becomes their problem. They'll deal with it. Your business doesn't have that. If you're missing, you're cooked, right? And every guy watching knows exactly what I'm talking about here, because you've all had the day you woke up with the flu and worked anyway because there was no one else to actually take the call. And no real business has ever sold for real money with the owner still doing everything, right? That's not really a company. That's a very well-paid job you can never really quit. Truth number 3, and this is a hard one because it's about you, right? The identity that got you to $1 million is exactly the same identity keeping you stuck around $1 million. Every contractor that I've watched build from 0 to $1 million did it the same way, right? They wore every hat, ran every bit, worked on estimates at 10 p.m. because it might be the next job to close, right? Took pride in being the guy who outworked everyone. Maybe you called it grinding, you called it hustle, you called it discipline maybe, and it worked. That's what makes this so hard to unwind from, right? That identity genuinely got you here. But the same behavior doesn't take you to 3 million. It doesn't take you to 5. But you can't see it because the identity is you now. It's how your dad raised you. It's how you describe yourself to other men. It's the whole story you've been telling yourself about why you're different, right, from the shortcut guys. So you keep on doing the thing that got you here and, wondering why it's not getting you there. Here's how that actually plays out because I watch it every single week. Guy comes on board with us, real pipeline problems, sure, right? But underneath the pipeline problem, there's always like a stack, right? Team problems, delegation problem, trust problem, leadership problem, sales problem, production problem. It's all tangled up on each other, right? And I can fix the marketing, right? I'm really good at it. That's why you're paying me the big bucks. But a year goes by, the pipeline's packed, leads are flowing, we've tripled what was coming through the door. And the issue is that the guy hasn't moved 1 inch on anything else. Because I can't hire that office manager for him. I can't recruit his sales rep. I can't download what's in his brain into the training, for the PM's head. That's his work. And that old identity has him frozen, right? It's not that he's dumb, like other people say it. He's not. He's just drowning. He's already working 70-hour weeks, and the thought of adding, recruiting and training sales rep to that pipeline, on top of all of that just feels impossible. So he tells himself that he'll do it the next quarter, and then the next quarter turns into the next year. And meanwhile, the leads keep coming in and he keeps running them himself. because, yeah, it's just easier. So here's what I tell every one of those guys. Hiring is like literally the worst part of this whole thing. And here at Contracting Empire, we literally filter through 1,000 candidates to find one A player that we actually want on our team. Someone who matches our culture, who's self-driven, who's curious, who's obsessed with getting better, right? It takes months, but it's worth the time. Every single time, I promise you. That 2-month transition where you're onboarding someone new and you kind of hate your life, well, on the other side of that, you will sit in your truck or your kitchen and you will wonder why you didn't do this like 2 years back. Every single guy says the same thing on the other side. And here's maybe the part that nobody really wants to hear. Being needed feels like proof. It feels like you're worth something, right? You spent 10 years becoming the guy who's indispensable. And that's where your whole sense of worth comes from. If you take that away and you're looking in a mirror at a version of yourself that you don't really recognize, right? That's the real reason like most guys never let go. You literally have your worth has to move from you being the one who personally matters to you building a team of people who matter. That shift doesn't shrink you, it multiplies you. But it requires the death of the version of yourself that has to be needed. And that's probably the hardest death a contractor ever goes through. And I know this because I've had to shed at least a few versions of myself along the way. Here's what's underneath all of these three, right? You don't hate your business. You love it, right? You build it out of nothing. You'd fight anyone who'd even come for it with your bare hands. What you actually hate is the relationship that you have with it, right? Because you pour in every day, hours, attention, weekends, Sunday nights, your best energy, the version of you that your wife used to know, right? And the business just takes all of that. And what comes back isn't enough, right? A check on good days, maybe an 8 a.m. phone call about the no-show crew on the bad ones. You build something that you love, right? And somewhere along the way, it stopped loving you back. And the fix isn't really more marketing. It isn't doing more stuff. It isn't a new CRM. The fix is building a business that can live without you being in the room, right? It kind of sounds like a systems problem, but it's not, right? It's an identity problem. And most contractors never really solve it because letting go of being needed feels exactly like losing yourself. And look, you don't have to fix this today, nobody fixes it in a week, but you have to name it to yourself first, right? To your wife if she's still around and still talking to you, to whoever you talk to about the real stuff. And if you don't have someone like that, get someone like that. The contractors who break through $1 million, every single one that I've watched, are the ones who finally admitted that the way that they built this business isn't the way that they can keep running it. The ones who stay stuck are the ones who keep calling it grinding and hustle and wondering kind of why it keeps getting heavier every year. And here's one last thing, right? Your kids are watching how you carry all of this, right? Even when you think that they're not, if they see you pouring yourself into something that keeps taking from you, they'll pretty much grow up scared of building anything at all. They'll play it safe. They'll tell their kids the same, right? But if they see you building something big and they watch you become that kind of a man a big thing actually needs, they'll grow up knowing that it's possible to win without losing yourself doing it. And that's what you're really building. It's not the business itself, but that proof of possibility and what's possible for them as well. All right, I'll see you in the next one.